Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC, as well as on the live stream on Facebook, Alabama Sports with Martin Houston. And, of course, we broadcast from Facebook, but also simulcasting on YouTube and Twitter. And we appreciate all of you for joining in on the program. But to get all of the post-game content, you need to follow Alabama Sports with Martin Houston to stay connected. It is the Martin Houston Show podcast from 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. Follow and subscribe on the live stream. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. And this just isn't any day for me to be thankful. It's my birthday, and I'm happy to be taking my 54th trip around the sun. So glad to have made that orbit one more time. So really excited about that, and looking forward to great things. And may the 54th be the best yet to come. So I'm truly blessed and glad to be able to be up and at 'em with you on this beautiful, beautiful morning. Our program and our show for today has a great lineup for you. Of course, we're going to be talking Alabama sports, and that Alabama sports includes roster management. In terms of roster management, both recruiting and moving some things around. We're still going to answer that question, how to build a roster in this 2024 dilemma, especially with a ruling that came out that's now a permanent decision by the NCAA regarding multiple transfers. Even though people were acting as if it was a permanent and official rule, it now is an official rule. So I really was hoping that they would, look at that and modify that a little bit. It's really not NIL as much as it is the transfer portal that I think is causing a lot of the problems. We ultimately we did talk about the coaches' grade, so we can talk about that a little bit more if we want to break down different positions. And then, of course, NFL draft is looming. So if that conversation comes up, we can get to that as well. Once again, I want to thank you so much for getting up and at 'em with us this morning. On the Alabama One hotline, you can get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Or you can add your thoughts, your comments, your questions to the live stream. And thank you, each and every one of you, for engaging with us. And I do encourage you, hey, show some love and support in a new day of the way we do radio and broadcast. We have our advertisers, but we also garner and appreciate the support of our listeners, viewers, and chatters. So ask that you give stars and Today, you can give them in honor of a birthday, but I ask for that support each and every day, and not embarrassed by that. So thank you for your support, for making it possible for us to do this each and every day. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I
Happy
can't.
birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad to be on this side. I have in the ministry. You'll hear a lot of times. You'll hear pastors and Christians say, "Man, I can't wait to get to heaven." And I'm the opposite, man. I'm the guy. I'm like, hey, I get a chance to interact with Jesus right here on earth, and I got kids and grandkids, and hopefully great grandkids to come. Uh, so once I get there, man, I'm there for eternity. I'm trying to get me a good 75, 80 or more down here. So I'm not in any hurry to get there. So I'm glad to be having number 54. Looking forward to many, many more. So thanks for those kind of words. So what's on your mind, man? Couple new rules and different things like that going on with the NCAA. Of course, it's going to directly hit our main topic that we talk about on Thursdays, which is recruiting and roster management.
Yeah, there's a ton to talk about today with basketball and with football. This new rule is an interesting permanent rule. And it's not necessarily new because they've already said it could be done, but making it permanent. We've talked about how that can affect young men, young women being able to graduate college with every transfer that they make, and just kind of showing that the NCAA doesn't really care about the student part of the athlete, of the student athlete, in my opinion.
But did you see
yeah,
what they did? Did you see what they did on this one to try to absolve themselves of that criticism?
yeah, there has to be certain academic standards met, which that at this point that is extremely vague. What does that mean?
Yeah, and here's the beauty of it. When I played, you had to have 24 hours in a calendar year to be eligible. And I'm sorry, in a school year. So school starting in August or September, based on when your school started, you had to. By the time the season rolled back around, you had to have 24 hours. Okay. Um, those 24 hours didn't necessarily have to have you moving toward a degree. Okay. In other words, you could take, a couple core courses and then you can throw in some electives to get eligible. uh, I will give them credit that they at least tried to absolve themselves of that piece of it, because now you have to be moving toward a degree. The problem is, I guarantee there's degrees out there that you create your own. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
create your own degree and different things like that. So schools will figure out a way around it to some degree. Um, but if they make it clear, the question is who's gonna enforce it. It will hurt some guys. It will prevent some guys from transferring. And so at least they did, Xavier, take it some attempt at it. But I just don't get, why would you say that doesn't exist anywhere in sports? There's nowhere in sports that the rule that they passed yesterday exists. At the high school level, there's a stipulation. I have to make a bona fide physical move to change schools.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Here, I can just, okay, hey, I want to go play here. Okay, go. I don't like it. Go. That's not taking the best interest, because these young men, they can get upset and then they're gone. Go ahead.
No, I mean it's it it's taking away from college sports. I mean, I definitely think young men and young women should have the opportunity to transfer to what they believe is potentially a better situation, but you're removing any accountability, I believe, from the student part of saying, hey, you got to try, because you literally will have some kids that'll be at 4 schools in 4 years, 5 schools in 5 years, depending on if they redshirt or not. And that's just, it's bad for the game.
Yeah, I posted a video, a picture yesterday of a guy that was in school during my era named Melvin Cheatham. Melvin was a 4-year starter at Alabama in basketball under Wimp Sanderson. And I said, this guy is a unicorn. This is something you will never, ever see again. First of all, you won't see a 4-year starter probably in basketball ever again. If a guy starts all 4 years, good enough to start all 4 years, he probably won't stay 4 years. And if he's starting 4 years, he probably won't start for the same team 4 years. That makes sense. Like if a guy's a 4-year starter, he probably was somewhere else at a smaller school, then transferred to a bigger school. So that's a unicorn, I think, without a doubt, seeing a 4-year starter in D1 basketball at the same school for the same coach. You probably never see that again. Coming back on the other side, X, let's just talk a little bit about the transfer rule and roster management and what can be done. I mean, the NCAA has made this rule. It hasn't been ratified yet. I think today it will be official. But what would you do per se to try to fix this? Is there anything to fix or slow down? And I have a suggestion that I think needs, because I'll tell you what I think that is on the other side. I think there's a way to help it so that these guys are making good decisions. The problem with the transfer portal, the ease in which it is to transfer, and now that you can do it multiple times with no consequence, no stated consequence. There are consequences, I believe, but no stated consequence is huge. We'll talk about it on the other side. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show. It's a birthday edition of the Martin Houston Show. Thanks to all of those of you who've wished happy birthdays already. We'll appreciate you. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling right here on your home for Alabama Sports Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Our early morning drive times are all looking pretty good. Expect 10 minutes along McFarland Boulevard from Airport Road across the river down to Jack Warner. Eastbound 2059 between the 359 and Skyland Boulevard. That's about a 7-minute drive. And on southbound 69 between Midlary Road and 15th Street, a 10-minute drive there. No major problems brewing into and out of the area. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the 4-day super sale, April 19th through the 22nd, and get 40% off paints and stains with prices starting at $26.69. That means 40% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 40% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
I'm attorney Steven Mizrano. Did you know that insurance companies will only offer you pennies on the dollar for your injury? When you're in a wreck, you need an attorney who knows the law and will fight for you. I don't back down from the insurance companies. You need to hire a proven attorney who will win. My firm will fight to make sure you get the compensation you deserve. Call 800-8000 or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm day today with a mixture of clouds and sunshine. A few scattered showers or storms are possible this afternoon and tonight. The high today 85, tonight's low 65. Tomorrow mostly cloudy. Again, the chance of a few scattered showers, the high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 67 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's a Thursday edition, little true false Thursday, little roster management, along with several other potential topics for us to keep the conversation rolling. We got J-Rob. J-Rob, thanks for calling in. You're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Roll Tide, guys.
Good morning, Roll Tide.
Happy birthday, Martin. Congratulations. You made it another year, man.
Thank you, sir. Definitely appreciate it.
You need to make your buddy Ryan Fowler buy you lunch today.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'll work on that.
Hey, this roster deal with transfers. So I'm not quite understanding it. I know you can transfer without any kind of recourse. Is that right?
You can the basic gist of the rule is you can transfer multiple times and do not have to sit out. The rule used to be that you had to sit out if you transferred at all. Then they came and it made sense. Hey, you can transfer one time. If you transfer the second time, multiple times, anytime after the first, you have to sit out a year to be eligible. Now they've come back and said you don't have to sit out no matter how many times you transfer. You just have to be making academic progress and be academically eligible at the school you're moving toward. So that's that part was added, which could slow down some things. In other words, J-Rob, if I'm going from Alabama, I could be on point of where I to graduate from Alabama, but say that my degree is in kinesiology or whatever. In the school that I want to go to, if they don't have that degree program, then I have to find a degree program or have to be in standing to go to that school. The problem is who's going to enforce that? I have to be moving toward, from my understanding, I have to be moving toward a degree at my school, and I have to be academically eligible at the other school. So it's twofold, that which makes kids at least have to be doing something in the student side of it.
Well, they really hadn't been standing in anybody's way from transferring for a while now. So unless it's Alabama wanting to get somebody, of course.
Right,
but
that's what this was, J-Rob. This rule pretty much came into effect. It was unofficial rule. It became an unofficial rule, and I thought that they would come back and not institute it. But because of a constitutional ruling, instead of them,
Hello.
Hey, Gerald, we still got you. I think
Yeah, okay.
we just lost Martin there for a second. His mic
Oh, okay.
might
He
have
faded
went
out for a
off.
little bit. His internet. His
What
internet
did you think
messing
of
up.
his comments?
Do what now?
This is a situation when you look at it, it's beneficial to the athlete side of it. That's what it is. That's what they're focusing on. I think they're trying to do an overcorrection because of all the years of having to transfer and sit out, or excuse me, and things of that nature. But in my opinion, it doesn't really help as much as it could potentially hurt young men and women moving forward.
It makes the jobs of all the sports recruiters harder in my book. I mean,
You definitely
it
have to
piles on
recruit
it.
every year now. It is a every year recruit, every year
All year.
maintain relationships with guys that they can get and can continue that going on.
Sorry about that.
I agree. Well, I'm gonna step out of your
Sorry
way,
about that,
guys.
Gerald. I assume Xavier picked it up because I accidentally hit the mute button under the table, so I was just talking away and then realized he can hear me. But hope did we answer your question?
I thought I was in
We answered
hyperspace
your question.
Yeah, I think you pretty much did. I'm not gonna say anything good about baseball anymore because every time I do, they drop one in the middle of the week. So I'm just gonna shut up.
Maybe.
Yeah, y'all have a good day.
Thanks, J-Rob. All right, X. Talking a little recruiting and roster management. What you got, man?
Yeah, it's been a busy week for Bama. You've got a couple guys coming in, couple guys on their way out. On the basketball court, of course, we talked about Chris Parker, one top 100 player from last year's class, entering the portal. But some other names that have jumped in the portal or left for the draft since then is Rylan Griffin, sophomore guard who started this past year, averaged 11 points and 3 rebounds a game, shot almost 40% from the field. He has entered the portal. They've actually had a prediction for him to end up at Kansas. Sam Walters, another member of the 2023 class, 6'10", forward. He's entered the portal. Senior Nick Pringle has entered the portal. Forward Davin Cosby, who's a part of the 2022 class, guard, has entered the portal. And the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mark Sears, has entered the NBA draft, but he is maintaining his college eligibility for the time being. So this could be a situation where he just tests the water, see where he is kind of falling and landing in the minds of scouts and teams, and could potentially be back for a fifth
How
year.
many of these basketball guys, of course, Tide 100.9, they have Max or Chornowski listed as one of the people that's entering the portal. I don't fully understand that, but anyway, when you look at the guys who are scholarship guys, Chris Parker, Rylan Griffin, Davin Cosby, all guards. Sam Walters, Nick Pringle, forwards. So Alabama has gotten 2 guys out of the portal. Houston
Miley and
Chris Youngblood.
Chris Youngblood, who is a native of Tuscaloosa, who started off at Kennesaw State and transferred to South Florida last year, will be coming home.
Yeah. And so, and I went to church with his dad, and I've been talking to him. So we're going to have Chris Youngblood on at some point. I'm going to reach out to him, probably be next week, but going to have him on and talk to him about his journey. He's one of those guys. This is his 3rd transfer. But Alabama's happy with that one. So, it's kind of a mixed bag of how this all works. But when to counter to the question that I have posed, how do you build a roster in 2024? Chris Parker and Davin Cosby may or may not be leaving on their own. Alabama, right? I mean, they 2 guards, 3 guards out, 2 guards in.
And when you look at the signing class, you have a guy like you have a couple guys that could potentially be guards, big guards. So that's how you have to look at it.
I don't even look at it that way. You have 2 forwards in the portal, and you have 3 forwards coming in. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now, you got Chris. The only one of those guys that I'm saying may be leaving for reasons unbeknownst to us and not about playing time, and may not even be about money, is Rylan Griffin. We'll see if there's more to that story, because that's a shocker. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised by anybody else in there. And I'm not saying that there's not mutual agreements on everybody else in there, right? I mean, Sam Walters was an offensive, budding offensive star, right? But what was he on the defensive end?
A liability.
Could one of these guys, Darren Reed or Naj Cunningham, could one of those guys become just as good a shooter in this offense, but give us more on the defensive end? There's 2 spots.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and there's 2 spots left, right? Right now, I think Alabama's down to 11 scholarship players. You can have 13. Well, we have 3 guards in the portal. Who's coming to Tuscaloosa? Former Auburn guard, freshman All-American.
Yeah, you have Aiden Holloway, the guard from Auburn. You also have Boogie Fland, who just asked for a release from his scholarship from Kentucky, who Alabama was number 2 on his list. Now, could he follow Calipari to Arkansas? Absolutely. Or he can come play for Nate Oates, which was his second choice to begin with.
So all of a sudden, when you start looking at this, the question was, how do you build a roster? I want to comment on this on the other side. Not everybody you see in the portal is in the portal on their own. And I think the biggest news is just change. Who has control? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. We'll wrap up some basketball conversation. Where do we think? If Alabama gets the kid from Auburn, that'd be weird. But he'd be another 5-star McDonald All-American. So Alabama would have 4 McDonald All-Americans that are, freshmen or sophomores. Maybe Final Four is in Alabama's future once again, on a tall order, potentially back to back. So we'll talk about that on the other side, and then I'll see if you have any football conversation to get to. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show. It's a birthday edition of the program. We appreciate you. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll be back in just a moment to keep it rolling.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Hey, John. Senior year is almost over. I don't have the funds to go to college.
I really want to learn a skill like being an electrician, a plumber of heating, and air technician. College just isn't for me.
I hear you, Mike. You should think about Skilled Trades of West Alabama. They have a 4-week jumpstart program starting in June and another program in July. The classes are free for class of 2024 high school grads like us.
Wait, how do we sign up?
It's easy. Go to skilledtradesofwestalabama.com. We can sign up online, and in 4 weeks, we can learn the skills we need to work as a plumber, an electrician, or in HVAC.
What's the website again? SkilledTradesOfWestAlabama.com? I'm going to do it now. This seems like a great pathway to a career without all those tuition bills.
If you're an up-and-coming 2024 or recent high school graduate looking for a career in plumbing, heating, and air, or in other trades in the construction field, go to SkilledTradesOfWestAlabama.com and find out more information about the 4-week Jumpstart program and take your first steps towards a rewarding career.
With Taco Casa, it's not really fast food because it's made fresh every day in the store. The quality hasn't changed, the consistency hasn't changed because we haven't changed anything in the food. It's made fresh every morning in every restaurant. I think buzzwords in today's food industry are locally sourced and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Be Honest bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're talking roster management and recruiting. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation. Let's get to Philip. Philip, you're in on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Oh, I said a few weeks ago, Martin, that, there's not a player on this roster that I could just unequivocally say is going to be back for next year. I think a few of them will, but I think it'll just be a few. But one thing I'd like to say, Martin, is, if I could, I'd like to veer off for a minute and talk to you about NIL. And to me, the only way NIL can be a positive, to me, is if the athlete does not touch the money until his tax obligation is addressed on the monies. Otherwise, NIL, in my opinion, is a form of financial poison. Would you not agree?
Well, hey, listen, they want to be big boys and they want to be grown. It's going to be a lot of young men who are going to owe the IRS money, and they're going to graduate from college, Phil, and be in a bad tax situation. That's on them. If they're grown enough to say they earn it and they're worth it, and their families don't get it, and they're not seeking the right advice, and the NCAA, all of the adults in this situation are not thinking about the ramifications of giving a kid $250,000 and them not fully being aligned with tax-wise. I don't think I don't want to get into I hate when the government is involved with dictating how we should live. I am very much, the government is there to help bring about, hopefully help with order and things like that. I don't want them involved in telling me how to spend my money. So I don't want them forcing them to pay taxes. But I'm telling you, Philip, the tax thing is going to become an issue. And I think that's what you're trying to say is that, but instead of forcing it up front, I think it's going to be one of the things when all of a sudden some kid graduates and he's made $1 million and he owes $380,000 in taxes, because you know that it's not just the cash they get; it's any gift or any monetary thing that they get that can be viewed as a part of their payment that they will owe taxes on.
That's what I'm trying to say is $300,000 really is not $300,000 because you're going to have to pay them $90,000 on that at some point.
Yeah, and based on how it's paid, it could get up into it can get up even higher than that. If it's based on how the money is given, it can get into what's considered a bonus, and you can get up into that highest tax bracket, a little higher than even the 30%. So, yeah.
Well, the roster management eventually is going to be, these coaches are going to get so sick of that, I'm with Josh Pate. I think things are going to get bad for the next couple of years, but I think in a few years, things are going to start correcting themselves out of necessity, because I just don't believe these coaches are going to be able to maintain this pace of constantly rebuilding their rosters year after year after year after year. I just don't see how that's even possible.
Well, Philip, let me say this. I know as fans we're upset because our players are leaving and stuff like that, and guys are jumping in the portal. You know that the only difference right now, Philip, with roster management and recruiting is who has control. I love Nick Saban, but you know Nick Saban's been ushering kids out for a long time. Do you know that? Do you know that he used to? There was a process that used to guys would end up getting a medical red shirt and finishing and not playing at Alabama. Not all those kids were injured and couldn't play. Nick Saban was making room on his roster. Just FYI. And so the ugly underbelly of this now is the kids now have control. And I don't have a problem with the kids having control, but it's like putting a playground next to a busy highway and expecting 5 and 6 year olds to know when and how to cross the street without a crosswalk and without a crosswalk guard. That's what we've done with the transfer portal. I have zero issue with NIL. I have zero issue with the portal. I have a issue with how they have, like I said, it's like building a playground, Philip, right next to a 4-lane highway and telling a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds, hey guys, there's potentially a better playground on the other side, and you can go over to that playground and to those other playgrounds as many times as you want. Good luck. If you can cross the street safely and get there, good luck. And hey, you can come back anytime you want, but we're not going to provide any guards or any crosswalks, or you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. And so the coaches are getting, and I hate to say this, they're getting some of what they've done to the lower tier players. They've been doing this to the guys who were marginal scholarship players, and now they're getting some of the comeuppance. Not all guys have done that, but many have.
I agree with you, Martin. That's a perfect analogy, too. And I appreciate you taking my call, and I hope to see you soon so I can pick up my swag.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Roll Tide out there. X, your comments there?
I mean, I agree with what you said as far as the money aspect of it. Hey, these guys said that they're grown enough to make this money. Now they need to surround themselves with people that know how to help them manage that money. And unfortunately, a lot of kids, young men aren't going to have, and young women who get NIL deals aren't going to have that.
Yeah, and I mean, just think about how many guys who've gone to the NFL, X, ended up broke.
And end up broke.
So, I mean, it happens all the time. And take that same money and make it, 18 to 23 year olds who are many who are having to shoulder the burden for their entire family. What about, do you have a problem with the portal itself? Do you have a problem with NIL itself?
I don't have a problem with either one in and of itself. I think the way that it's managed is what the problem is. I mean, these guys are not every college player, not every great college player, good college player has an opportunity to make it to the NFL. There are guys who get hurt in college. You look at the one that always pops out in my head is like a Marshawn Lattimore. If he had been able to leave after his freshman year, he probably would have been a first-round pick as a running back, but he can't. He couldn't. And what happens to him the next 2 years? He tears an ACL. Then as a junior, he comes back and gets his knee absolutely obliterated, and he never got the opportunity to truly earn a dime. So he should have had an opportunity to make money because the school was making so much money off of him, his name, his likeness, what he did on the field. So I don't have a problem with that. And then I look at guys who want to enter the portal for a better opportunity, a coaching change, a position coach leaves, and the new position coach doesn't like the style of player you are. But to have it just no structure, no solidified solid structure is the issue.
Totally. And like I said, I make the comparison of it's like building, you having playgrounds on your playground on this side, and then all the other playgrounds are on the other side. And maybe they have one toy on their playground that you don't have on yours or whatever, or you can't clearly see all the playground and they're telling you how great it is, right? And yet now you have to cross that road and the danger and all that. And that's the problem. But I wanted to point out that for the most part for me, I just wanted to point out to us as fans, coaches have been doing this to the low-rung players for a long time. Coaches have been putting guys on medical red shirts. The scholarships are one-year scholarships. So that's the problem. One of the problems with the NCAA. We want these kids to be committed to their school for 4 years or 3 years. Well, the NCAA only gives the scholarships of 1 year renewables. Okay. So the school needs to match that same intensity. They need to match a commitment to the players and say, hey, you have a 4-year scholarship. What does that mean? Because right now, in reality, Justin, were you aware of that the scholarships are a 1 year renewable?
I guess not. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So and that goes back to when I played, before I got to college, you used to get a 4-year scholarship. But when I came to play for Alabama, my scholarship had to be renewed at the discretion of the coaches in the university every year. Right? So now the control has always been the universities. But there were guidelines, right? But now the control is in the players' hands with no guidelines. And to me, the answer to this is there needs to be a neutral third party. And like I said, if I had the time, Justin, I would develop a consulting firm that would be working with the universities in that I would be able to anybody that wanted to go into the portal would have the rule I would put in if I was NCAA, they have to talk to this neutral third party that has nothing to do with any particular school or anything. They're independent of the NCAA and they're independent of the colleges. And they would simply go through a questionnaire and a conversation with this student athlete and or his family if he chose to have them there. And that school would pretty much do some of the research. I mean, that organization would do some of the research. That's what I would have. And that way you end up with, and the NCAA will be the ones responsible for paying it, but that organization is independent of the NCAA. So that's one way to me that you could handle this, because my biggest thought and concern and worry is the fact that they don't have the skill set to make these types of decisions, including their parents. I mean, do you think these kids are having academic conversations with their current advisor and the new advisor? Hey, you think these kids have that conversation with us?
No, not at all.
And so that's why the 20% is happening that Saban mentioned. We have one more quarter before we end today's edition. We'll head to break here. We'll be back on the other side. X, is there any football conversation? I know Alabama got a couple of commitments post 8A. Anything else happening there? Are you concerned that Alabama may be taking commitments too quick? Or are you happy with the process and the progress that your football team is making? We'll talk about those things on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up this edition of the program.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have a couple of issues, small ones, along the drive of eastbound 2059. First one you're going to encounter is a normal road work before Joe Malisham. Right lane blocked, left lane is all that's passable. Little, if any, backup there, though. Now, further east, out around Daimler Benz, we do have an accident, but it's on the right shoulder of the road. No lanes blocked and no real backup through the area. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning, it's Mary Kay, live from the News Center, and Earth Day is on Monday, and volunteers across Tuscaloosa County will spend the weekend keeping it green by clearing outdoor spaces of litter during 3 cleanup events. To find out more about these various events, tap our free app. And following the end of the Final Four in Phoenix, the Alabama Crimson Tide men's basketball program began difficult conversations heading into the 2024-2025 season. We have an exclusive roster tracker for you at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Attention, those of you looking to go on a fun vacation and see the world on the cheap. Today, the U.S. dollar is worth even more in other countries, so there's never been a better time to travel outside the USA. The dollar is worth over $1.30 in Canadian dollars, and it's the same for Australia. You can fly there today and have fun and maximize your travel dollar. Your U.S. dollar is worth over $3 in Brazilian reals, and it's worth over $18 in Mexican pesos. Plus, in Argentina, it's worth over $27 in Argentine pesos. Just think of the bargains you'll get. And the way you get the cheapest airfare to any destination is by calling Tickets That Cheap. Save up to 75% on your foreign vacation tickets. Don't wait. Call now.
800-426-1886. 800-426-1886. 800-426-1886. That's 800-426-1886.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer last year and had chemo and radiation at DCH's Lewis and Fay Madison Cancer Center. I'm thankful for the support of my nurse Kate, my breast navigator Katrina, my doctors, and the whole staff. I have felt confident like I was the most important person there, before, during, and after. Tuscaloosa is blessed to have such an excellent team at the Madison Cancer Center.
Great things are happening at DCH.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's a free for all. I shouldn't say free for all Friday. Guys, I'm trying to get out of here. It's my birthday. I'm trying to hurry up and get out to Friday so I can get to the weekend, I guess. It's a true false Thursday. We really didn't ask a true false question yet, but one of the questions that had kind of jumped up on me, X and Justin, is there any reason for the top athletes to strive toward graduation? Let me ask you a different one. Will we see fewer guys graduating from their schools now that the NCAA has made this rule change that you don't have to be a graduate student athlete in order to transfer multiple times and be immediately eligible?
I mean, if there's not real like advisory and things of that nature going on, absolutely.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Justin?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're headed that way.
Yep.
Either in the sense that players are going to be employees of the university, or sports are going to be separated from the academic.
Watch
side.
this.
I think so.
You used to have to graduate to have multiple transfer options and to be immediately eligible after the first one. This all started. Grad transfer used to be able to transfer regardless and be immediately eligible before the one opportunity, one get out of jail free card. Now with the multiple get out of jail free cards, that used to be the reward for graduating. But now think of a guy who is a 3-year starter, not quite ready to go to the league. You think he sees a better opportunity to be on a championship level team and feel like he can start? Why would he worry about graduating? He can just go now, even though he's now on his second or third program. So that I think is going to hurt the graduation rate without a doubt. Let me give you some numbers, and this is going to blow you guys' mind. A lot of people said I've had several people say they were not aware of the NCAA rules. If you go to NCSA, it's a college recruiting site, not promoting them per se. But the question is, are all full ride scholarships 4 years? No, they're typically 1-year agreements between the college and the athlete, although there may be some multi-year. Most athletes don't even know that. That's the scary part. But listen to these numbers, and this is my concern, X, with the transfer portal. NCAA Division I has 350 schools. Division I, which everybody thinks Division I and they think scholarships, right? There's based on these numbers in this site, there's 139,063 athletes who play Division I sports. Okay, that's how many players it takes for programs to field their programs. That's all sports, which means that's the walk-on, the scout. That's how many. But if you don't have those, you can't have great practices and things like that. Less than half of those people who are involved in Division I sports from an athlete standpoint are on scholarship. Only 74,243 maximum scholarships. So when you have all these guys going into the portal, already half of the people in Division I are not on scholarship already. And guys are earning spots. Division II has 310 schools, and they have 85,000 athletes, and only 36,000 of those on scholarship. And guess what, X? Now you have Division II athletes doing what? Moving up into that Division I. Huh?
Trying to move up.
And then in the Division III, you have 438 schools, 144,000 more athletes in that division than the other top two before it, and you have 0 scholarships. So what are those guys doing? Trying to move up. And that's the problem with the transfer portal and it not being guaranteed is all these guys go into the portal, and that's not counting the high school athletes that's trying to come in, X. That's not counting the 25 when these guys leave that there's another whole pool of high school athletes all fighting for those same 74,000 scholarships. That's the problem with not having guidelines and borders around. There are so many guys that nobody's talking about that have given up scholarships and that have either had to drop down or drop out of college. And that's the problem. But they created their own problem because the NCAA was afraid to deal with it. The coaches didn't force them to deal with it. The presidents didn't force them to deal with it. And the athletic directors didn't force them to deal with it. And now the players and this is an analysis, not a character statement. The inmates are running the prison. The players are running college athletics. And when you have 18 to 23-year-olds running a multi-billion-dollar business, it's going to have some issues. Back to you. Go ahead, man.
No, it's going to have a lot of issues, and that's the problem that we're seeing. And it's only going to get worse until there's actual guidelines and control made in these situations.
I think it's going to take something drastic. I think it's going to be like just some crazy, the Power 5 drops the bomb and just drops the NCAA and forms their own league. Or we're all the sports aren't in trouble. But if they don't get a handle on football and basketball, it's going to bring down all of college athletics. That's the problem. Football, for the most part, has driven all of this. Basketball is taking the portal. But football is the money behind this. And if they don't fix football, all the other sports will slowly die, because you can't ask these other sports to travel at the same clip as the other ones. Closing thoughts, and we'll be back on tomorrow. We didn't talk about any football. We'll talk about that on a free-for-all Friday.
Yeah, I mean, things have to get in order. Things have to be regulated. We want what's best for not only the players as far as what they do athletically, but academically. And I think right now we're just setting all these young men and women up for failure.
Yeah, you have to have guidelines. I don't care what level it is or where you're at. There's ethics around everything. And right now, there's no one making rules and guidelines that's best for the overall sport. Agents and collectives are making decisions based on what's best for them. Universities, what's best for them. Coaches, for them. No one is sitting down and saying what's best for the future of our sport, talking about football and all the other sports in college. Hey, we'll talk about it more on tomorrow. We'll get some more roster management on a free-for-all Friday. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. That's Justin Jones. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. Thanks to all of the happy birthday wishes. I appreciate you guys and all you do to support the Martin Houston Show. And hey, listen, unashamedly, I encourage you to go to facebook.com/FBstars, give a gift for the birthday and or on any day to support the program and what we do to make a great show. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.